Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It's game day for the Auburn Tigers. They'll go tonight against Baylor. SEC play is now underway. Missouri gets I don't know if you want to call it a huge win, 61-6 against Central Arkansas, but hey, you handle your business. You take care of things. You did things the right way. You did what you're supposed to do. Nebraska is back. They won a close game. So that means they're back. That means all signs pointing to yes for the Cornhuskers, I guess. Last night, pretty good night of football. GMAC UAB was in a competitive battle for a while. Stanford goes down last night. We'll get through all of them, talk about all of them. Most of my attention last night ended up going to that Nebraska game. South Florida, Boise did not end up being as competitive as a lot of folks thought. You and I even thought it would be a competitive game, but USF ends up running away from Boise towards the end of that football game. South Florida did some really nice things. It looked like Boise was going to be able to control the game on the ground early on, and then just couldn't continue that inconsistencies through the air. And USF breaks a 19-game losing streak to unranked opponents. And South Florida now, a team that hopefully Greg has some people's attention because we wanted them to. We talked about what we liked about them, and I think they proved a lot of what there is to like about Alex Golish's team last night.
Well, I mean, I think they did a great job defensively, obviously, being opportunistic, doing a good job on short yardage, forcing a couple turnovers. Like, there was a lot of things to like with what they did defensively, so you got to give a bunch of credit to Todd Orlando. A guy that's had a really good career coaching ball on the defensive side, has at times been kind of like fallen out of favor and then been back in favor. He's kind of been all over the place, but for the most part has done a pretty good job most of his career. So, I mean, he was the winner last night. And if you look at the fake punt, the couple big plays created after the fact, it was really more about the defense, though, that kind of did a great job all game long of just maybe giving up a couple paper cuts but not getting gashed. And that was huge, obviously.
Yeah, Maddox Madsen goes 25 of 46, 225, a touchdown, no picks. The difference was Boise ran 38 times for 122 yards. That's you might say that's a solid day at the office, but your leading rusher was Sire Gaines with 9 for 44. And he had a couple runs there. I think 14 may have been his long, where you kind of said, ooh, man, I like 26. Like, he keeps the legs churning. He's got good energy, runs hard, looking for contact. But it was the consistency, again, GMAC, what we talked about. And it was about how you laid it out yesterday when I talked about that South Florida defense and how disruptive they are. I remember you saying it on the show. You said, you're going to get some TFLs. You're going to cause some problems. There's going to be some issues. However, is that consistently going to go, or are you going to get 1-2 here and there, and then they're going to bust home runs when those guys may be out of their gaps or get a little bit too far upfield, and those home runs just never came. Longest play in the passing game for Boise was 24. So there were almost no explosives for the Broncos last night. And on the flip side of that, you had Chaz Nimrod go for 55. You had Keyshawn Singleton go for 45. You had Alvin Isaac with a 49-yard run. South Florida did find those explosive plays against that Boise defense, ended up being the difference.
Yeah, and then obviously the special teams play that was massive. And to sneak your backup quarterback in there disguised as a punter only to throw a deep ball down the right sideline for a touchdown was enormous. And from that point forward, the dam broke for Boise. So it was kind of a tale of two halves to an extent, because it felt like Boise kind of dominated the first half, but they had a couple turnovers, and it didn't feel like USF was the better team in the first half. But my goodness, in the second half, it was no doubt about it. I thought Brown looked a little better and better as the game went along. Kind of a shaky start, first couple drives, but kind of found something there on third drive and started to find a little bit of rhythm. But I think USF looked really good. And what's interesting about that group is defensively, I think they're going to be a challenging team to play against. They seemed a little more sound than they've been the last couple of years, and I think that's why Boise never manufactured the big run or the big play. Let's be real. I just think Maddox Madsen's a fine player. I just don't think he's a great player. Like, if the game's going to be on his shoulders, I like my chances defensively. And Boise, we said it all last year, man. They were kind of a one-man show. And no one wanted to acknowledge that. They wanted to point to, oh, well, they can rush the passer. Oh, well, they're great up front along the offensive line. You and I both watched it. It's like, are they? Or is Ashton Genty just that good? and I think it kind of came to fruition last night. Like I think Boise missed the playoffs this year. Like I think Boise's kind of a human team this year, and they got a little exposed last night in the absence of their superstar running back from a year ago.
No doubt. Fake punt, huge. And you saw kind of on the replay how he peeks over to the side, and nobody catches that on the Boise special teams, throws a dart. And I thought that was similar to the Nebraska game. These aren't the only plays. But that game sort of really tilted things to the side of South Florida that Boise wasn't going to be able to overcome. That turnover for Cincinnati last night before the half, and Boise's able to grab points going in, that was the backbreaker. That was the end. I had a chance, obviously, late, come down to make a play, throw a pick in the end zone. But, I mean, I feel like we're looking at a couple of games, couple of teams here early on where that one swing play is just going to be massive for the team that gets it, gets the momentum, gets the points, get the possession, whatever that is. And we're seeing it here early in the season that some of those huge mistakes are really paying off for the team that takes advantage of them.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of told you guys to be careful if you're Nebraska. Thought they were better. That game played out a little how I expected it to. I think Cincinnati kind of executed their defensive plan exactly the way they wanted it to. Now, they didn't do a very good job getting off the field. And I think eventually they got a little gassed. I mean, they had to defend 78 offensive snaps. They also had about a 40-20 time of possession advantage to Nebraska. But you forced Dylan Raiola to be super, super conservative. You did not allow the deep shots. You did not allow much downfield. Like, you allowed him to kind of dink and dunk his way into third downs or just hope you can get a negative play, get him off schedule. But he showed, I think, a lot of maturity with how he approached it last night. Like, he didn't get overly aggressive, did have one that could have been picked and taken to the house. But other than that, like, I thought it would have been huge. I think down and scored after that anyways, but it's beside the point. There wasn't a lot of risk taken by Raiola. And that's something that I think is important for his growth, because I think at times last year, 13-11 touchdown interception ratio, like, he forced the football. And last night, he didn't. I think that's growth. So just a lot of underneath. Cincinnati defended the deep and gave up the underneath, and Nebraska kind of played keep away. So it was kind of an interesting game last night in a lot of ways, because on the other side, Brendan Sorsby, we've been saying for a while with Cincinnati, what's his best attribute? It's his running ability, right? I was kind of amazed at how much Nebraska allowed him to take off from a passing posture by getting too vertical with their pass rush. Like, I mean, they almost won the game because Brendan Sorsby was possessed on the ground. And it's kind of crazy to me that Nebraska allowed that to happen. What'd you make of that?
Didn't love it. Didn't see much adjusting to it either. Now, there were a couple that were designed and executed well. You give Cincinnati credit for that. But there were a couple, as you mentioned, where he just leaves the pocket. And the drive in which they cut it to one score, that first run from back inside of his 20, I forget how long that went for, but, I mean, it was like 40, 50-yard run, I felt like. And it just completely flips the field, gives them momentum. They're able to score, make it a one-score game, get the ball back, and obviously didn't have enough time. You had to force it into the end zone. It's a pick. He wasn't impressive through the air, but like you said, and you've kind of been warning people on him, and I knew he had game. I didn't expect him to do what he did on the ground last night, 13 for 96 and 2 touchdowns, but specifically in bigger moments, bigger drives. The two drives later in the game where, like you said, he just took over. He just said, I'm just going to leave, and nothing you can do about it. Now, a couple of broken tackles also, so not just all on the pass rush. Now, those broken tackles were 5 yards or 15 yards downfield, and he's able to get past defenders. I think that would be more of a concerning issue for me with Nebraska if you're looking at how did we tackle last night. Because, I mean, Tawee Walker had some forced misses, and a couple other guys carrying the football for Cincinnati, I thought, did some things on their own. There wasn't a lot of balance for the Bearcats. I'm with you on Raiola and the patience and understanding what he had to do to win the game, going out to win the game. There were a couple of just rough misses. And that was the thing with him last year, is that, you know, the body language oftentimes said, hey, trying to look cool, receiver open, miss. And it didn't feel as much with the body language last night, but, God, there were a couple of just layup throws that he didn't make. And like you said, I actually think that pick six is the difference in the game if they get it. just because of where it was in the game, how late it was. I think that would have been a backbreaker. But you get the win, and you can't win close games, and that's been the narrative, and that's what everybody has said. So I think if I'm Matt Rule, I take that and say, look, this is what everybody said about us. This is what people said we can't do. We just did it. Now, let's go clean this up, see what we can try to get a little bit better at. The offensive line, I mean, it sounded last night like that Nebraska offensive line's up there with the 95 offensive line. Like I didn't really see that. They did some decent things. They didn't look dominant to me. And yeah, as you pointed out earlier in the week, Corleone is tough to handle. I mean, he was a dude last night. I mean, he was a problem for that Nebraska offensive line. You're not going to see him every week, but I just didn't come away from it thinking Nebraska's a playoff team. And keep in mind, I said it very clear on the show, I'm not going to pound my fist about too many things early in this season. We're going to be really careful this year about being definitive early in the year because we just don't know. We don't know how these things are going to play out, but there were definitely some concerns that I left that game with for Nebraska yesterday.
Yeah, I think that first of all, there was a couple things in the run defense I thought they did pretty well, considering how many new faces are in their front seven. I think one of the biggest concerns I had with Nebraska was their front seven defensively. I mean, they just lost a lot of guys, and they did a good job of attacking the portal and taking some high-profile guys. But if you really look at it, I thought they did a decent job slowing down some of the run game. Like a lot of the success that Cincinnati had moving the football was outside the tackles. And I think that's something that can be cleaned up a little bit. There were a couple decent manufactured plays off misdirection. You had quarterback run that was difficult to defend, but I think you got to feel pretty good if you're Nebraska. You went and won a close game. You haven't done that very often. You also, I think you showed growth at quarterback with maturity and not forcing the ball into coverage because he's taken 75 checkdowns. There was no impatience from him, which I appreciated. I also think one more thing with all the turnover along the offensive line, like I don't think it's a super strength, but I think they're going to be okay. So I think there's something to feel decent about there, and I really like their weapons. Like I thought Isaiah Hunter had a nice game. I think Dane Key had a really nice game, and there's going to be more there.
The receiver pickups for Nebraska looked really good.
Really good.
We had questions about Key because what did he not do at Kentucky last year? Catch the football. And you kind of need to do that as a wide receiver. So that's a big plus.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to feel good about if you're Nebraska. I mean, I don't think that this is one where you're going to, build a monument in honor of the victory. But I think last night showed that you're an improved football team. You're a football team that's grown and that can close you out. So I think there's things to take away to feel pretty good about. And then for Cincinnati, Nebraska's probably one of the better teams that you'll face this year from a personnel standpoint. And I'm not saying that Cincinnati's going to go and make a run to the playoff. I don't see it like that, but I think they're a bowl team. I could see that team getting to the postseason for sure, assuming Sorsby can stay healthy. I think the pickup of Cyrus Allen at receiver, he played well last night, had a couple nice moments. The former A&M transfer, the former Aggie. I think they still have some things to figure out with their secondary, but I think they're going to be all right. They got two pretty decent backs. I like the jitterbug back that they have. What's his Pryor, and then Walker I thought had some good moments. So I think that was actually, we might fast forward to season's end and be like, that was a pretty good matchup between two pretty decent teams.
I don't think there's any doubt. Matt Rule on the win last night against Cincinnati, just kind of what that meant to his program.
I had a lot of respect for the way that they played. They were tough. They were hard-nosed. We left some things out there, obviously, that we have to improve upon. We have to make a big jump this week. I thought the fact that we were a +2 in the game, I believe +2, yes, obviously was important. I thought the kicking game was solid for us. So a lot of things to build on, some things we have to correct.
No, you feel good about that. You didn't turn the ball over. You got 2 turnovers. I mean, that's something immediately that, all right, we played clean football. As you said, Greg, we didn't get overzealous in the pass game. Quarterback didn't try to do too much. You were 10 of 18 on third down, so you were able to control the clock, 39-30 in possession. A lot of things that you point to and say, we acted as a good football team would. Scoreboard didn't indicate a dominant win. Other team had a chance to take it. You didn't let them. So I'm a lot of positives to build on. Yes. And as I stated, I think in normal years I would have looked at this and said, boy, that's not a playoff team. Just not. But I'm in wait and see mode this year. Not going to be definitive on anything, and just kind of let some things play out here before we maybe get too excited or too down on certain things in college football. Your CBD store, never get down on them. They are open. They are available. They no matter what you've seen on the news, they got their products in stock right now. If you need to take the edge off in the evenings, you need more energy throughout the course of the day, you need a better night's sleep, your CBD store can help. The Trim by SunMed is in stock now at the largest brick-and-mortar CBD retailer in the world. If you're looking to drop a little bit of weight, they can help you out with that. First company to have USDA-certified organic oil supplements. They've got the stamp seal on those products, so they're all going to meet and achieve a certain set of standards. Arthritis, anxiety for you or your pet, products are there. They got it. They can help you, and they're open today. Your CBD store. 3 locations, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Collegian Cleaver, and Trustful just off 459. Your CBD store where good health hits home. We'll come back to a little bit of that Nebraska game, come back to a little bit of the South Florida win, but we want to go local and hit a couple of in-state teams here in Alabama and Birmingham and what they did last night. We'll do that later in this hour. Stanford Steve going to join us next and give us some thoughts on what he likes coming up this weekend. That's all coming up today on Jox.
Welcome back, McElroy, Cubelic in the morning. It is 8:20 where I currently sit, my home away from home, the Minute Suites in Atlanta Airport. What a time to be alive. I texted the boys last night at, 10:30, and I said, we are in full November form. Like, I am booking my Minute Suites. Cole's in the car with an iPad up. Damien was calling a game, and I feel like it's November 15th, and we literally have played one full night of football. How good? Nothing better than that. Yesterday was great win by UAB, gutsy win after a slow start defensively that kind of carried over all the way throughout. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. Before we do, I'll tell you about Bill Smith Buick GMC. They're the very best. They're Alabama's largest GMC dealership. They're also the best when it comes to discounts and service. They are number one in the great state, and they sell more vehicles than anyone in the entire Southeast. They're selling like 300 cars a week. It's unbelievable the way that they're doing business, and the inventory's off the charts. Right now you can get a 2026 Buick Encore GX. $29,985 is the list price, but you'll get it for under $25,000. It's amazing. That is $5,000 off the sticker, and that's a deal that you won't find anywhere else. You can also get a GMC Sierra 1500 Z71 4x4 with the SLT trim level. $67,500 is the list price. You can get it for $53,500. That's $14,000 off the sticker on a really nice off-road vehicle with a beautiful trim. So, highly recommend you take the short drive up to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com. Cole, UAB last night, gutsy win. Not one that you're gonna necessarily put the tape on the side of the highway, especially on the defensive side. But you got to give a little credit to kind of the resilience of a group that has so much new and being able to find a way to score enough points to kind of distance themselves down the stretch.
I don't think there's any doubt. 52-42, UAB gets a win against Alabama State. And, I mean, I think one thing that you come away from the game saying is just that you got to win. You found a way to battle back. But Andrew Brody can play. Quarterback for Alabama State, 18-24, 312, 4 passing touchdowns. He ran 16 times for 119 yards and a touchdown. I mean, if we had about it today, he might be in there because he was a one-man wrecking crew last night for the Hornets. Jalen Jones caught 6 balls for 174. But you found a way to get the win. It was ugly early. There was some sloppy football early, but I thought the definitive drive later in the third is when I want to say it was, because I was trying to pay attention to this game on the way over to Oxford, and UAB had what I believe to be their best drive on the ground up to that point. And you made a statement with a couple of big runs once you got across the 50, specifically in the red zone, of just forcing the football in. You go for 2, you get it, and then you're pretty much in control after that. But I thought that the fact that you had an opportunity to let one slip away, GMAC, and everything was going against you early on, and you did find a way to battle back and get the win, you give Trent and his crew credit for that because you faced a guy that was obviously giving you problems and kept the football away from you for a long period of time, but you still outgained him, and you still go out there and find a way to get a win. Got to cut down on some of the penalties. Didn't turn the football over, so that's a positive. It's just you've got some things to fix on defense. You got to find a way to get a quarterback corralled. You can't bust coverages. You can't give up explosives. And the UAB defense did that last night. It's one thing that just can't continue. Kitna was 18-23, 247 yards, 2 touchdowns. Javon Jackson ran hard, 17 carries, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns. Solomon Beebe, 8 for 51 and 2 rushing touchdowns. So, I mean, you ran the ball 35 times for 273 and 5 rushing touchdowns. You're got to be good with that. I don't know how you're not. It's just you got a lot of things to clean up on defense.
And there's nothing wrong with having things to clean up on defense in week 1. Like, that is not uncommon. That is not new. It is very normal to look, I don't want to say pathetic, because that seems a little harsh, but it is very normal to look very vulnerable defensively in week 1. Now, we haven't really seen that so far dating back to last Saturday, where kind of the offenses have kind of been pretty conservative, I would say, in I guess the bigger games. The offenses really, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of teams taking shots. We haven't seen a lot of crazy tempo. We haven't seen a lot of teams like going crazy, with the exception of maybe Missouri last night. Everyone's kind of kept it close to the vest, and defenses, I think, have been the beneficiary. But I do think that in a normal circumstance, I mean, if we look back over the history of college football, struggling in week one defensively is not new, and it is not uncommon. So it is something that can be fixed, but it needs to get addressed here pretty quickly.
No, and that's the tackling's been going downhill throughout the course of all portions of the season the last couple of years. So early in the season, tough to expect that it's going to be clean and look great. At the end of the day, I look at it like this. You score 52 points. All right, you ran 35 times for 273 yards and 5 touchdowns, and you got to win. You take that, you move on. You got a lot to clean up defensively, and it's something that when you go top to bottom, it's not going to get a lot easier because you're not going to have as many opportunities next week on offense against Navy. Then you get Akron, and you're at Tennessee. So you've got some opportunities here to maybe scoop up some wins, not necessarily saying the Tennessee game, but early in the season, and kind of find your way defensively with what your offense is doing specifically on the ground, and you try to keep that going. So it's not a win that you're going to put down in the record books for Trent, but you got to 1-0, and you'll take that every time. So I feel pretty good about that, and I think he should too. I think you at this point, Greg, you got to point out the positives. You got to point out the things that look good. Show your kids what you can build on, how you can build on it, why you can build on it, and see how much of the other stuff you can get corrected. It's like we just heard Matt Rule say a little bit earlier. We got a lot to clean up for next week. We got to take some big strides before next week. That's going to be 80% of the teams in college football are delivering that same message for their entire first game going into their second game.
100%. And when you look at it too, like you're sitting there with a lot of new pieces, right? We often wonder culturally, what does a team do when their back's against the wall, when there's not a lot of, I guess, tenure at the place that you're playing for. And you're sitting there in the third quarter down double digits, and you respond by scoring 21 unanswered. To me, that is a very, very instrumental adjustment. That I'm not saying, like I said, I mean, Trent and his staff have a ton to clean up. Tons. But it does say a little bit about the makeup of the team. I don't know if you see it similarly. That you have to be encouraged that with your back against the wall, as you're nearing gotta have it situations, and you're down double digits there, third quarter, and you flip the script and put 3 in a row right up on the board and take commanding lead. Like, that's encouraging. I'd be pleased looking at it from that vantage point, if nothing else.
No, I would probably be there with you, and I think you have to be excited about that. So also get excited about a train and what they can do for your home. You know the heat's coming back. It might feel nice today. Felt great last night. I had to stop at Walmart and buy a hoodie on the way over here because it was chilly last night. Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal. Don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years. They're the official cooling partner here at Jox. Find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com. It's hard to stop a train. Yeah, this is the old Walmart special right here. What you're looking at. I think this was $14. So
that's nice looking.
Thanks.
Is that Egyptian cotton?
Yeah. Well, I think it's synthetic. 80% Egyptian. Brahma is our brand here.
Oh, it's from The Rock?
I believe so. Yeah, it's
or San Antonio.
Well, yeah, you're just loyal to your native sons of San Antonio.
If it was only Kentucky blue and made by Brahma, we'd be good.
That could be Kentucky. For all I know, that's Kentucky's alternate blue.
There you go. We'll
I don't know if they're going alternate with the powders this year, but that might be what you're working with.
Well, he is in Oxford.
There you go.
Well said. He is an Ole Miss guy. I've heard that. I remember from a game a couple years ago, Cole is a diehard Ole Miss guy.
I remember that. I've been reminded of it.
That's the way I heard it. That's the way I heard it.
Well, at least what you heard came from me, so that would be a plus. That would be a big win in that department right there. All right, we'll find out what Stanford Steve likes as far as the lines this weekend. Where is his money going to be? We'll do that all next right here on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:33. Friday, August 29th. Week 1 is underway. Some really intriguing games last night, kind of with how they went. A couple scary games last night for some teams that we still need to get to. We still need to talk about. A couple other nice wins. We'll get to those. But Stanford Steve joins us now, and he's going to be with us each and every week, G-Mac.
Yep, thanks to our friends at Atlas Senior Living. It's a great time to go to atlasseniorliving.com. That's ATLAS seniorliving.com. Click on the football banner. They are doing a weekly pick'em contest, and that weekly winner will receive a $150 Amazon gift card. The overall season winner will receive a $1,000 Amazon gift card, and it's a great time to go and join this contest. And while you're there, check out all the new communities that they have available. Ironically, they just opened up 4 new communities in the Atlas Senior Living family in the Washington, D.C. area, which is exactly where Stanford Steve will be joining us from. So it's always great to go and check out Atlas Senior Living. They do a great job. Tremendous communities, great service. And they'll take care of your loved ones as if they're family. So go check them out, atlasseniorliving.com. Steve, are you planning on moving into one of those communities in the D.C. area?
Listen to the young guy on the show just rub it into the 2 old guys, Cole. It's amazing.
Wait, you mean the one that had to be
me,
dry needled on the show earlier this week because his neck was so stiff he couldn't get words out? That one?
First of all, that's not funny to talk about.
Is it accurate? Is it accurate?
It is accurate, but Steve,
the guy who raise your hand if you're appearing on this show right now and you've had a calf heart attack. My hand's not in the air. Steve's hand's not in the air. So keep making fun of the old guys, though.
That would require y'all to have calves and not cankles. That's
you obviously just hadn't been paying attention.
That's too mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Big guys could have calves. Come on.
Occasionally. Steve, last night, Nebraska-Cincinnati, I know it's one that you were impressed with. What'd you make of the game?
Well, yeah, I just thought, Nebraska, looking at what they've been up against, one-score games, and after all that, we're in a game where they dominated the time of possession. Raiola is, the story with that team, and sure enough, they're back in the same situation that they were during all their struggles, and that's a one-score game, and whether they're going to win it or lose it. I was just wondering, Greg, the way Sorsby threw that last ball, you got 34 seconds left. You have a kicker that's made a 54-yarder. Like, did he just not see that safety? Because the way he let it go, it looked like he thought he had a touchdown.
Yeah, I went back. I tried to pull the tape. I couldn't pull the tape. I couldn't get the all-22. It wasn't up yet. So I tried to watch that this morning, and I'm not sure what he was thinking from a situational standpoint. What got them to within 6 or 7 yards of being able to kick a game-winning field goal? It was his legs. To me, you're already on the doorstep. Now, they were out of timeouts, so they had to be mindful of the clock at that point, and you didn't want to leave the clock running and have to go with the hurricane field goal operation where you're running guys on and kicking a game winner. That's just the likelihood of making it's remarkably small regardless of how close you are. So I do think there was going to be a time in that drive where they had to push it downfield. I just don't know if that would have been the time I would have done it. But until I see the all-22, I can't comment on what the coverage looked like because I didn't get a great look at it from the replay angles that they showed last night at the end of the game.
Gotcha.
Did you come away feeling better about Nebraska, Steve, like big picture?
In a way, yeah. I thought Raiola did a good job of taking what was given to him. Like that's not easy to do in that kind of circumstance. Where in a game where you want to show out and show what you have as far as new receivers and all that. But I thought the big call. There was no hesitancy, not a 4th down and goal with Rule, which I thought is going to be a thing you're going to see a lot more in games. 4th and goal in a team that hasn't had the ball a lot, and Holgerson and Rule are on the same page. Ran a great call, freezing a linebacker and getting a much-needed touchdown. So, I do feel good about Nebraska. I do think, it's in this transfer portal era, it's a game where you just get a win and move on and improve. Every team's going to have room to improve, and I just thought getting the win in front of that many of their fans at Arrowhead, which I thought was a cool atmosphere, was much needed, and Nebraska got it done.
Yeah, and I kind of said earlier in the week, Steve, and I've said this the last couple weeks leading into the season. Like, I'm going to go out of my way to try to not be definitive on things the first couple of weeks here. I just looking back at what a couple of teams were early last year, and then what they turned into, and then like you said, just everything that's changing and different. Greg brought up tackling a little bit earlier in the show, how it's been going downhill, not just early in the season, especially early, but during the course of the season the last few years. I think it's going to be hard. It's even hard for us to do what you just said sometimes. Like, get your win and move on. Find ways to improve. So many – like, I go back to what Trey Smith said his last year at Tennessee when he wasn't able to practice. And I know these guys are able to practice, but because it's so different, I feel like it's still applicable. He said – I was like, dude, you've gotten so much better like the last few weeks. It's wild to see. He's like, the game reps are my practice reps. He's like, we don't go full speed in practice anymore. I can't really practice anyway. He's like, I got to have the game to figure out how to get better. And I almost feel like that's like college football right now. Like, these guys can't figure out how to be better together. How many coaches have you heard, Steve? Greg and I know have talked to a bunch that have said, we don't know what we're going to be. I mean, Dan Mullen told us a couple weeks ago. Greg asked him straight up, and he goes, I have no idea. I have no idea what we are. Not going to know until we play. So I think that's everybody right now.
Yeah, and I think I've also heard coaches talk a ton about we need to get in a game situation, because a lot of times you see the guys that respond to game atmospheres, and some guys freeze a deer in the headlight when it's pressure's on at the game situation. We need to wane those guys in and out and move them up and down the depth chart. So yeah, I mean it's amazing how similar coaches are talking before this first game.
Yeah, looking at it, this is an interesting weekend. Let's start with tonight's slate. Auburn currently a 2-point favorite on the road at Baylor. That number is kind of fluctuating. I've seen it as high as 2.5. I've seen it as low as 1.5. I think Auburn, from a talent profile standpoint across the board, is significantly better. But I think Baylor has a decided edge at running back and at quarterback. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I wonder about the depth of each team, Greg. I think it's a 4-quarter game. I give the edge to the offenses in this, essence of how good Aranda is with defenses and being meticulous, but really not knowing what Auburn is exactly going to look like. So I think they're going to be on their heels a little bit, where Auburn could keep the foot on the gas. And I know Baylor's going to have a good plan. They feel good about, the guys they have, their personnel. Obviously, Sawyer is a stud. The staff loves him from what he did for the team last year. I think it's a high-scoring game. I would lean towards the over, and I would lean towards the home team just because Baylor's at home, and you see that point spread the way it is. It feels like that's the edge there. So I like Baylor at home, even though it feels like, as big of an August win as you need for Auburn, knowing what that schedule looks like in September, it'd be massive if they were to get this game.
All right, I want to go to where you are just to make sure we get it in. Ohio State, Texas, these teams, kind of similar issues when you look at some of the concerns. Ohio State's O-line issue not near as what I think Texas's is going into this season. You've got some new players at tight end for both groups. Obviously, the defensive lines, really just the middle for Texas, maybe across the board for Ohio State. But who do you look at and say, kind of in the mindset of what we just talked about with all of college football, who gives you more comfort heading into this game with what they have and what you know they're going to be tomorrow morning or Saturday morning? Excuse me.
I was leaning Texas a bunch, Cole, and talking to their guys and how confident they are in the guys they have on defense, filling those gaps at D tackle. It sounds like there's going to be a freshman playing nickel for them. And then I went to Ohio State practice, and I saw how much bigger, faster, stronger J.J. Smith is. Good Lord, is he impressive. And you think about how do you get him the ball now with a young quarterback and being creative and getting him the ball. I'm really interested to see how the running back situation goes for Ohio State. They really like this freshman, Bo Jackson, who's from Ohio. And then they got Donaldson from West Virginia. But, Ohio State's guards look bigger than their tackles. And I want to see how that matches up against Texas, who we know went into the portal and got defensive tackles where they've had huge success with NFL players the whole time. I lean Ohio State. I don't love it. I think it's a low-scoring game. I don't think you're going to get these crazy shot plays that we've seen from Ryan Day and Sark. I think they want to protect their quarterbacks and let their defense. Both teams have plenty of talent on defense, and I think they're going to lean. Both teams are going to lean on that in a game where, you know, there's a lot at stake, but it's a marathon, and yeah, it's great to get a win, but the season's not over if you lose. So I look at it as this conservative game and an under game, and I lean Ohio State.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I lean Texas. And part of the reason why is because I just don't think Julian Sayin was very good. Granted, it's 12 reps from last year, but man, there were some bad misses. Like it's 84 yards or whatever, but almost all of that came on one throw, which a guy was wide open. Every contested throw he made last year was kind of off the mark. So we'll see. I'll be curious to see how he handles it. I think Arch is significantly better than Sayin, and I think that's ultimately what determines the outcome, but we will see for sure. Another one I want to ask you about, like, I'm all in on Georgia Tech tonight. I don't see how Colorado, to me, their identity is going to shift drastically to a more mobile quarterback, but I just think Colorado is a little helter-skelter, whereas I feel like Georgia Tech's on a little bit of a warpath, and I just like their makeup more so than the newness of Colorado. So how do you handicap that one?
I totally agree. Being over at Ireland and seeing how buttoned up that Georgia Tech game plan was for Florida State last year with the moves and the shifts pre-snap, that's pretty meticulous. That's really, there's a lot of details that go into painting their picture, you know, pre-snap. As long as they just get over all the things that come in playing in Boulder, you know, the distractions, the crowd noise, the altitude, and you stay on your game plan. Haynes has plenty of experience. As long as they don't turn the ball over or sloppy, I think Georgia Tech gives it to them tonight, knowing what they could do and the creativity in the run game and just the playmaker that Haynes is. You know, it's 3 years straight. You don't know what you're getting with Colorado. You know, they shocked the world in year one, and then they come out last year against North Dakota State, and, you know, it's the Travis Hunter show. So I feel like their talent level is down, whereas Georgia Tech has a group that has grown together, and that's why I lean that. You know, you want to go on the road and get a win. Georgia Tech in this matchup is built for that, and I'm with you on Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I think we would all be on the same page there on that one and looking towards it. Let's go to LSU and Clemson, one of the massive matchups of the weekend. Depending on kind of what you're hearing as far as rumblings out of Baton Rouge, that could shift your opinion here on a couple of things with the Tigers from Louisiana at least. But I'm just interested in where you are on this matchup. We'll get to the points and whatnot in a minute, but just these two teams, this setting, the Brian Kelly first game talk is a little nauseating to me, but nonetheless, where are you on LSU Clemson?
I feel like I know I'm going to get from Clemson a lot more than I know I'll get from LSU right now. If that sounds cliche, I'm sorry, but I think Clemson in this matchup with that defensive line and LSU, an offensive line that's replacing 4 starters, is not what you want to have to do in a first game. Now, there's plenty of ways to go about that. Can you find some snaps to give Nussmeier time to get him the ball down the field where you have great talent at receiver? That's the big. Can you overcome negative plays with big chunk plays? I feel like Clemson is built not to allow that. The offense, I believe, will be more polished than what LSU looks like for Clemson. So I look at Clemson as a team with plenty at stake. You know, the whole ACC versus SEC, they have that to play for, if that means anything for people. But I feel like right now Clemson is a better football. And I think one point to make, guys, also, and I think Nebraska falls into that from last night, like Texas and Ohio State are going to be so much better in a month from now than they are tomorrow. And I feel like the same could be said for LSU. You know, get through this first game. Everybody's going to, you know, like you said, it's nauseating about the first game lacking success. But there's plenty of wins on that schedule moving ahead. Just come out and work on your mistakes and don't worry about the past and all that leads up to that game, and play your best. That's what you want to do. I just feel like Clemson's built better and in a better spot to win this game.
Miami, Notre Dame. Miami is a 2.5-point dog at home. I think these teams are a lot more similar than I originally thought when preparing for this game. What's your take on how that one could go?
I look at the changes, Greg, and I'm sure, you know, studying this, I went back and looked. Miami doesn't have their top 6 pass catchers from last year, and Notre Dame might have the biggest upgrade of talent at a group when you look at it as far as wide receiver, bringing in guys that have plenty of success. And you're going to need that if you're going to start Carr in his first game on the road, and which should be a charged-up atmosphere. People are going to want to talk about the history and Notre Dame getting buried the last 6 times they've gone down to Miami. I think it's an average loss of about 28 points. I'm a huge fan of Marcus being at A&M last year and seeing how he brought his team out in an atmosphere like that. Notre Dame plays fearless ball, and I think they're going to be able to lean on that defense. I know they were the number 1 pass defense last year, but I think this defense could be deeper. It might sound crazy to people, but I just love what they bring in. I think Young is going to be a stud at D-line, and obviously Leonard Moore is a top player in the country. I lean Notre Dame. I think it's an under game. I think Miami's really good up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They're going to lean on that. Let Beck figure things out. So I look at it as an under game, and I lean Notre Dame.
If Notre Dame's defense is deeper, based on what they were holding on to a thread by with 3rd and 4th stringers at the end of last year, goodness gracious, that unit will be fun to watch. Really quick, we got to let you go, but Bama 13.5. Some people say it's too much. I kind of don't really see it that way. I think they cruise. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think Alabama's going to let it fly, man. I think Ty Simpson, knowing that they're dinged up a little bit, they got to love their matchups. What they have is with Ty Simpson's toys to play with on the edge. I think Alabama puts up a big number against Florida State.
There you go, Steve. Always appreciate the time, man. We'll catch up next week. Have fun.
You got it, boys. Have a good one.
Stanford Steve joining us each and every week. Thanks to our friends at Atlas Senior Living, GMAC.
Yep, Atlas Senior Living, ATLAS, seniorliving.com. Go check out the website, click on the football banner, join the Pick'em contest. You can make some Amazon dollars, gift cards. Will be shipped out every week at $150 to the winner and $1,000 to the overall season winner. So go check them out. And while you're there, learn a little more about all the amazing things that they're doing at atlasseniorliving.com.
All right, we still have Aaron Murray coming up at 8:20. He was on call for the Missouri game last night, and then we go Max Ball. But we might as well go Max Ball appetizer next right here on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I'm just going to reiterate, getting away from this is really going to get the people going. Y'all were mad when I had Bruce Pearl on. And maybe you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll save it for bad box score of the day.
Oh boy.
I'll just say this quickly. Kyle Schwarber's the best show in Major League Baseball right now. It's not, and I don't think it's close.
Oh boy.
I don't think it's close. He is the best watch in Major League Baseball right now. So he is like 90s reincarnated Rob Deere, Cecil Fielder, Mark McGuire. Like it's strikeout or just absolute mega bomb. And it is a joy to watch. Duke gets the win over Elon last night. Darian Mensah, GMAC, 389 yards. First start at Duke, second most pass yards in a Duke debut all time. Second to
Daniel
anyone?
Jones.
Actually, absolutely not.
Malik Murphy, what's his face from Texas?
Malik Murphy. That would be old Dave Brown for 444 back in the day.
DB, my bad.
Spurrier? I bet you
Dave
that was Spurrier.
Brown. I just said it.
No, I bet
all
you that
three
was
passing
Spurrier. I
touchdowns.
bet Spurrier was coaching.
Probably. All three pass touchdowns second half. First career game with 3 passing touchdowns in the second half for Mensah. 4 straight win and season openers for Duke. Elon, now 0-17 against FBS opponents dating back to 2007. Yeesh. We'll get to Missouri on the other side. We'll open up with that next hour. Aaron Murray going to join us at 8:20. He was on the call for that one. Some parts of that game to like, some things to feel really good about in that game last night. And unfortunately, Jacksonville State goes down to UCF last night, GMAC 17-10, as Scott Frost gets his win and his debut due for the Knights.
Well, you got to feel pretty good about it, though. I mean, Jack State, new head coach, going on the road to what had to deal with a little bit of a delay, weather delay, like a couple challenges that worked against the Gamecocks, and they were in. I mean, they were in it all the way to the end as a 21-point dog. You got to feel good about that.
Speaking of weather delay, there are a lot of folks that are getting really concerned that that's going to be an issue in the Alabama game and that could be a real problem. It's never a problem if you go to Game Day Men's Health, though. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Get your free consultation set up. You get a free PSA test, free testosterone test. The store in Trussville is open now. So if you get that consultation, you live in Trussville, it's going to be right around the corner. Go check it out. Peptides, testosterone replacement, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Sign up for that free consultation or 10% off when you tell them you heard about them right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. We're back with more ball next.